Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening from whatever time zone you may be calling us in from today. My name is Rebecca Cronin, and I'm one of the Customer Success Managers here with the Altair team. Now, some of you may recognize my voice or name from either the onboarding sessions we posted or perhaps seen my name within the online user community. Just a reminder, the Customer Success team, we're here as another point of contact for you to reach out at any time with any questions or concerns you may have regarding Altair solutions, and if you're unable to get connected with your account manager. We also can assist you with receiving access to our online user community, as well as Altair One. And if you haven't participated in our user community, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a great opportunity to connect with your fellow peers, your product experts, ability to post and answer discussions, as well as some very helpful resources within the community. Little housekeeping before we get started. The handout section you'll see is a copy of today's PowerPoint presentation. In that PowerPoint presentation, we have a list of helpful resources that you can be able to share with other colleagues, as well as our team mailbox, da-csm@altair.com. So again, we're very excited that you're joining us here today. If you haven't had the chance to participate, our goal is to provide an open time slot where you can freely drop in, ask any questions with concerns that you may have working with Monarch, whether it's Monarch Classic mode or DPS mode, and even Monarch Server. So we'll begin the session just a few more minutes. So just wanted to point out, you should also see a chat or question panel. This allows you the opportunity to submit a question to our panelists. We will submit that question for everyone to review and answer. And if it's something that you actually wanted to be addressed offline, please let us know so we'll keep it private and do so. If we don't get the opportunity to get to your question that you may have submitted today, we will definitely follow up and perhaps open a support ticket to continue that conversation. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, Mo Abdolrahim. He's one of our senior professional services consultants. He's been with the organization for over 16 plus years, providing customers both on and off site with assistance to help meet their project needs. You may have had the opportunity of working with him directly at some time. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mo. We're going to start with the topic of reviewing what is new in Monarch 2023. In case you were not aware, we just released it last week, and I know we're going to be making an announcement in the community to share this new release. So Mo, take it away.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good morning, everybody. Can you see my screen?
Yep, it says Monarch 2023 desktop.
Very good. All right. Yes, as Rebecca mentioned, Monarch version 2023 desktop, as well as Monarch Server 2023.0, both products were released last week at the same time. This is the first time that these two products are released at the same time. So if you are planning to use Monarch Server, you can you can install Monarch Server version 2023 as well as Monarch Desktop because a copy of the Monarch SDK engine is also included in Monarch Server version 2023. And another features with this release is Monarch and Monarch Server, they are released for all three languages, English, French, and German, for the first time. So what's new in Monarch? I'm going to go through some of the slides, and then I'll bring up the Monarch as well as Monarch Server, just show you the new features that we added in this release. So some of the new releases is basically Oracle Cloud infrastructures as well as Google Cloud Storage added to the Monarch Desktop. Plus, you can also connect to Azure using Azure Active Directory authentication, which is this box right here. So when you launch Monarch and you go to the settings under application default settings, under server, you can configure these. Let me just bring up. Okay, so if you just click on that wheel button, application default settings, and under server, yeah, you can see that you can configure, Monarch, Microsoft Azure, Amazon, Oracle Cloud. I don't have access to Oracle Cloud, nor do I have access to Google Cloud, but if you do have access, you can configure these under the application default settings. Okay, and with Microsoft Azure, if you are connected to Azure using Active Directory, you can check these options also. Another new features that we added is the report font, table and summary font, multiple report verify, and formula auto completion. So again, under the display, you can now set the default font for all three pages: report, table, report, and summary font. So here, you can just set the default font on the table, report, and summary. So when you then open, let me just open a workspace. Okay, so the font for the table shows under change list. And if you go to the report design, okay, and click on the wheel button on the top right corner, you can change the font here. This is something new in this release. You can change the font, and then if you build the summary, go to summary design. You can also change the font here for the summary. By the way, I also monitor the question dialog box. So if you have any questions, type in your questions, and I will answer your questions. Okay, so let me switch back to my slides. So this is also multi report verify. So when you in the previous version, when you loaded the multiple reports in Monarch, for example, here I have one report, but if I added another report, and let me search for classic. Okay, so now let's say I have two reports here. And if I go to report design, and click on report verify, basically the report verify now checks both reports that I loaded in this session of Data Prep Studio. Okay, as you can see, there is some issues here I have that I need to fix. But in the previous version, it would only check one report, and then you have to get the next report, and then the report verify would check each report individually. So basically, you have to switch between reports in the previous version, and then run report verify. But in this version, it just verifies all reports that you loaded into one Data Prep Studio session. Formula auto completion is basically here, as you type in a formula in Data Prep, it will complete the formula for you. So again, if let's say in here, if I click here and then do new formula column, And let's say change that to string and um, um, so as I type in L split, which is a split from the left, you can see that this the formula auto completion will show up, and then as I type in, it just displays, the auto completion here. And with when you also export to Excel, the font is also transferred to the Excel output file. Okay. This is the autocomplete that I mentioned earlier. Also, we in this release, some of the old connectors that weren't used that much, we just deprecated, such as Jira, Zendesk, Boss, Sugar CRM, Google Sheet, Google Ads, and Google Drive. So these uh, uh, connectors are no longer exist. So if you using a workspace that uses any of these connectors, when you load the workspace, you will get a message, something like that. Okay. If it finds any of these connectors there, so you can upgrade later or upgrade now, and within the when you load the workspace, it will tell you the upgrade the deprecated tables. And if there are any, so if you click on it, you will see this dialog box. And for example, you can just upgrade like MySQL, successfully upgraded, or SharePoint. Needs to be upgraded to the new connectors, as well as a NetSuite. And Jira, as you can see down here, this connector is no longer exist in the new release. And connector migration wizard is added to the Data Prep Studio. So you can, again, if your workspace uses any of these deprecated connectors, you can, when you click on upgrade connections, it will tell you what is missing informations about that connectors, or basically cannot upgrade, such as the Jira. Jira is one of those connectors that there is no equivalent for Jira to connect. So it will just tell you that this is not available for Jira to connect. So that's pretty much it for Monarch Desktop. There were some basically there were a few bug fixes for Monarch Classic. There's nothing for Monarch Classic to discuss. We also fix some bugs in Data Prep Studio as well. You can always check the release notes of the software. If you go to Altair Community and check the documentations, you can filter by Monarch and Monarch Server, and you can basically check the oops, this is wrong, not monitor, Monarch. So you can check the release notes, and it will tell you that what bugs for both products are fixed in this release. So for Monarch servers, basically the same connectors are deprecated, and we added a tool called Inspector. The inspector, you can run the inspector against the database prior to version 2023, and the inspector will check to see if the visual process or the workspace use any of the deprecated connectors, and will flag it so you can take some actions. So again, the inspector tool is part of the installation document. So when you download the installations package, it will be within the installation package. So just show you a quick demo of inspector. Again, the inspector on my server is installed on this folder. Okay, so you can just it's a zip file, so you just need to unextract everything and put it into a folder, call it inspector, and create a shortcut to a exe program. And there's an executable somewhere in this folder that you can create a shortcut and launch it. I have it shortcut here. Basically, datawatch.databaseinspector.exe. So create a shortcut, and you can run this inspector program. So basically, you can look at the detail. If you click on the detail button, it will tell you that what's dash here, meaning that these connectors no longer exist. Basically, we don't have an equivalent connector for these, the one that says dashes. The one that we have, yes, on the column can manually upgrade to a new plugin. So these are the new connectors. The connectors can be manually upgraded on the, and then if you have any workspaces. So this just explains about, what happens if something, a connector that's deprecated for the workspace or visual process, what you will expect to see. Okay. And so basically, you just need to point to a SQL server. So my SQL is in this box right here. And Win 2019 SQL. And the database is Monarch Server 2022. And you can connect either using with the same account that you logged in to the server, or just or integrated security. So if I just click on test connections, okay, it's connected, apply. Okay, and then I can just check all of them or check individually. So this basically checks all workspaces, or you can also check, the visual processes that contains workspaces. Okay. So it just check, and then if there are any, basically, I don't use any of these deprecated connectors in my database in version 2022. That's why they all green. But if there was something like orange, it would be deprecated. And visual processes, if I click on check all, it basically checks all the visual processes. Oops, I gotta apply and then refresh. Yeah, and then check all, and everything passes. So you can, and it also creates a cache and reports in this path. And basically, if you have any of these deprecated process connectors, it will tell you, so you can take some actions. Okay, let me go back to my slide. So with respect to the use Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, I'm not connected to Azure with the AD account, but I'm connected to Azure. I can show you some examples in this release of Monarch Server. Basically, when you connect to like a Oracle Cloud or Google Cloud, you can configure those in Monarch Server under Automator and Server Integration. So here, basically, you can configure, these are the default settings. Okay, and you just configure the Azure or Amazon S3 or Oracle Cloud or Google Cloud here. So these default settings can be then used within a visual process. So here an example of connecting, I can show you an example of connecting to the Amazon S3. So first, you need to use a credentials node, okay? And within the credentials, you can, if you check these options, use the default defined in several settings, then it will use the default settings. Or if you don't check this option, then you have to use, access key ID and secret key ID for connecting to AS3. Okay. So once once this is configured, then you can use the web input node, and within the web input, you can choose any of those cloud, and then specify the path. So this is the path for connecting to Amazon S3. So that is my username on that I have this folder. So if you click on the browse button here, the browse button also enhanced in this revision of the Monarch Server 2023 that allows you to do some, basically the search button is added. Previously the search wasn't there. So you can just navigate to the container that your data exists, and under my username, I can just go and select a file or multiple files, and click OK, and then select a file, and then click OK. So I can add a file, or I can use a wildcard to read multiple reports, and then the rest is just the workspace that I built in Data Prep Studio. So this basically maps it to this web input, and the export, you can also export to other, to clouds like Amazon S3, Azure, Blob Storage, Oracle, and Google Cloud. And then you specify the path. Again, if you click on the browse, it will, again, you can select a location to where you want to upload the file for Amazon S3. And that's example of just reading a file from Amazon S3 and uploading a file to Amazon S3 Cloud. Okay, I don't see any questions. Let me just go to the next example for. So this next example, it will show you that I can just, again, using the default settings under the server settings, and I am basically selecting. I can select both Amazon S3, because this one I am accessing files from both Amazon S3 and Azure Data Lake Storage. So by setting these two options, it can then I can just go to add a web input and connect to Amazon S3. Again, once this credential is configured, I should be able to connect to Amazon S3. I should be able to connect to the Azure storage, Data Lake storage. So this is a demo container I have. Under that, there's another folder, and then all the PDF reports are here. So so these two web input connects to Azure Data Lake storage, and that is mapped to a workspace. Okay. All right. So then the web inputs are mapped to the workspace, and then the workspace just basically uploads everything to Amazon Azure Data Lake storage. As you can see, that it is, again, this search button is new in this release, that you can search for different container, different folder in either in any of the cloud. Okay. So that's, let me just see if they bring up my slide, just making sure. Yeah, so I already talked about that. I already talked about the settings under server integration, and then the web input that Oracle Cloud and Google Cloud are added, and the search button is new enhancement in this release, and that's pretty much it. So that's all for the new enhancement to version 2023. Okay, so I don't see any questions. Is there any? If you have any questions, you can type in your questions in the, and so I can. Is there a sample process that demos Active Directory stuff that I could use to demo to my IT group? Active Directory meaning Azure Active Directory? At the moment, no, I don't have an example to show you. You just have to, because the Azure cloud that I connect to, it is at the moment, I don't have an account that is added to the Active Directory, so I cannot show you an example. But if you have an account that is part of the Azure AD account, then you should be able to go to either through the you can do it through the credentials, or you can set the default settings under Automator and server integrations, and just selecting Azure here. There's my Azure. Okay, right here. Microsoft Azure. That is, okay, it's up here. So if you click on Set Active Directory Credentials, then this obviously that account has to be part of the Active Directory. Okay. So unfortunately, I don't have anything at the moment to show you with this Active Directory. Any other questions? So the question is there a way to do something like report verify in an automator process to guard against to find? Yes, there is something. Basically, not the way the report verify does, but let me just explain. With the workspace, you can add a report verify workspace, okay? And verify workspace, the verify workspace has to be added after the workspace, and you have to add a hop in between. Otherwise, you cannot connect from workspace to the verify workspace. So with workspace, what you can do is you can check to verify data source availability. So if you're checking, for example, if this is the load plan or the table I need to export, I can check to see, check this option that verifies data source availability. So this is available, or I can check this option and check if this table contains, greater than or equal to 1 row. So which means if this is greater than or equal to 1 row, that means basically if I expect that this table shouldn't have a row, it should have a 0 rows, and I set this to 1, then that is an exception. So I can check the continue. Continue means that it will write a warning message in the job log and then it goes to the next node. If I check this option, continue with verify only, then what it does, it will write a message in the job log, and if I add, let's say, show advanced connector, and then so if this is checked, basically it will follow, goes through this red line as well as through this gray line, okay? And if I do stop, it basically goes through this red line and then it stops. And then if I check this option, it will write the warning message in the job log, and it just stops right here. Okay, so you can do something like that. Or if you expect that your table has multiple, more than one rows, but it generates a 0 rows, that's an exception. And then depending on which option you checked here, then it will, go through the different path, depending on what options you selected here. So this is with the verify workspace that you can try. If you are using Monarch Classic, Monarch Classic comes with a verify model. I don't know if I have just okay, so if you are using Monarch Classic model, the verify model also allows you to basically check for filters. Although this, I have to configure the model here. Let me just pick a model. Okay. Now that I pick a model, so now I can filter produces at least one row. So if I select this option, so I can select a filter. So this basically says if filter doesn't produce a row, that means that's valid. But if the filter produces a row, that's an exception. Then you can choose one of these options at the bottom. The other one is the opposite. Filter produces no row, which means if filter produces a row, basically that is an exception. That is not an exception, but if filter produces no row, that's an exception. So you can choose one of these filter. Or you can choose one of these options, like unfiltered table has at least one row, or field boundaries. So this is basically similar to verify report that you can check. And if any of these fails, then depending on, again, which option you selected at the bottom, it will take a different path, okay? So you can choose a verify model or verify workspace. All right. Any other questions? We still have a good 15 minutes to go. I don't see, other than one user that's asking questions, I don't see anybody else is asking questions. Okay, let's see. I was thinking about how I could find out the values longer than the field length. Yeah, well, with report, with the workspace verify, you won't be able to see that. But with verify model, you can, because you can check, text field length. If let's say you define a field that is shorter than the actual data in the report, then it would able to give you a warning message in the job log. Like if you selected a field as numeric, but it's not numeric, it can flag it. So this option exists in verify model, but with verify workspace, all you can do is just check to make sure that the table that you're trying to export contains a data set, or based on a number of rows, whether it has one or more rows or 0 rows, and take some actions. Okay, any other questions?
Has anyone thought of any other questions you'd like to ask? Again, it doesn't have to be about what we covered. It could be, as you've seen, the questions on Monarch Server. It could be Monarch Classic.
Well, I was gonna, if you have time, I can show them a demo use case in Monarch Server, if that's okay. If not, we can do it. So I have this process email invoice. Okay, for those of you that receive invoices, you may find that quite useful, and that is okay. So let's say you receive some PDF reports that contains invoice, and there's an email within the PDF report, and you want to just send the PDF as an attachment to an email, but using the email within the invoice, within the file, okay? So that's the purpose of this use case. So what this process does is basically it process reads all the invoice files, PDF invoices. So the workspace itself, what that workspace does is just captures all the email addresses from the PDF report. And then it exports that to a delimited file. So basically, I don't think I have the delimited file showing here, but so the delimited file contains the email address. As you notice that I am using hub with individually. Okay, what that means, the hub individually, it just reads one PDF input, process it, generates the output, and the output, you notice that I'm using the macros, the file name macro, as well as the counter macro, okay, .csv. And then this file is being passed to the script, okay? And obviously you have to write some script in here. So what the script does, it will read the email from the CSV output, and then assigns to some global variables within or the variables within this process, and then those variables are being used within the email. So one of the variables that I created, I want to write, the invoice number as part of the subject, okay, as well as the email. So this is another variable which reads the email from the PDF report to the toolbox. And when this process is finished, it moves the CSV file to the backup folder, and it moves the PDF report to the backup folder. Okay. So that's the use case that you can use. Obviously, you have to use some scripting. So the first script, what that does, it just reads the input file, the CSV input file, and assign the email address and invoice number to a variables here. So add variables. Basically, it just creates these variables in script. And the next script, what that does is just uses those variables to basically, this one just reads the CSV file to get the email address, and assign it to those variables. And I'm also writing this to the job log. So basically writes the job log. And then those variables are used in the, one of them is used here in the two, the other one is in the server invoice. And I'm not sure if I have a job log. Oh, looks like I do have a job log here. So if you can see the job log, so that's read the CSV input and then sends an email to those email address, and then it moves the files to the backup folder. Okay. That's it, Rebecca.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Mo.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody, for joining this session. Have a good day.